Good morning, afternoon, and evening, Supercoach Elites. Welcome back to another Supercoach Elites video, proudly sponsored by the Patreons at patreon.com/SC Elites and our mates over at Elites Breaks. Hit them up on Facebook and Instagram. My name's Corey, and you can find us on Twitter and Patreon at SC Elites, Facebook, iTunes, SoundCloud, Spotify, TikTok, and Instagram. Also YouTube, where we are now, at Supercoach Elites. Bringing back with the draft. Now, you can see my team is a little bit different compared to where I left it last week. I did have a little bit of a play around. The plan was to play around with it on the stream. Now, I have just moved myself over to the right-hand side of the screen. Just at the moment, just so you can see everything. We had the game last night. As pre-recording, it is about 6:48 on the Friday, so we do have the game beforehand. The trades that I've made was just a bit of fucking around, and I will show you what I've done. And the whole idea was to essentially try and get a full team for this week, not by moving too many of the players that I didn't want to go. So Weeders was probably the one on the list that I really didn't want to go. Defender, I like Jordan Boy, but defender, Doma doesn't. Who gives a shit? One thing that I will say is I've held on to my waiver move this week. So I think it's very, very vital in this little patch of buy round players that we don't mess around with our waiver claim too often. In my other draft league, I did use the waiver to go and get Massimo. It wasn't a high waiver claim, but I'm seeing it number 2 in this league. So using the waiver claim isn't something I want to do. We'll have a look back to the start of the week, and Mills actually used his waiver claim to grab Billings. I got no issue with that. I think that's an okay waiver. Coming off an absolutely insane game. If he continues that role, I think the score's going to be really, really well. So I don't have a problem with that waiver claim. The one I do have a problem with, and I didn't check the waiver order beforehand, so big disclaimer, I will here. I will try and be a little bit nicer moving forward, but the deconning, I get maybe no Ruckman, I don't know, but he's used a waiver pick for someone who's on a bye as well, so this really would have become a player that would have jumped outside waves. I can't imagine too many people running for a ruckman who is on a bye. So, had been playing solo ruck, but sometimes you've just got to let the waivers go and then pick them up. You know, like the Lockie Bramble pick here, I'm glad that wasn't a waiver claim. I think that was a good move by Perko. You could easily get sucked into the 107 and use the waiver on that, but you can just wait sometimes and get them as free agents. He's had 2 good picks this week in Big Maxi King as well. I do really, really like that. The importance of the waiver is if something falls out. Nothing really did this week that's like super, super fancy, but you know, you got to keep an eye on like Ben King now hitting the waivers. That's whatever his Gold Coast has run is like. You know, when they come up to those good games, they're players that you can stream in and out that'll absolutely do it for you. I had to get rid of Haynes. He's out due to personal reasons. Prestia, the injury. Pickett wasn't in my team. It was one that I just used because I could not pick up an extra forward this week. And I'll go back to my team and explain what I've done in a second. But Logan McDonald in. Weeders, I don't like getting rid of, and Boydie. So that's mine, and I'll explain what I've done. So we had a bit of a problem with my team with Horn Francis and Wizard not playing this week. It's kind of sucks when I've also got I had a couple of other zeros that I sorted out in Rayner and Boyd, and Weed is obviously injured. I don't really want to get rid of Guthrie. I did throw the little bait out there to see if anyone was interested in trading it. And if you've got it, it is okay. I would have probably taken most midfielders, anywhere between 80 to 100 here, and someone probably could have picked up a bit of a steal, but I don't think that trade's going to go through. My league's super interested in the young guns, and that's all right. So I'd rather not drop it. I'd rather try and flick, cast the rod and see what you can get. Titch, the whole plan with Titch here, and I'm spewing Horn Francis out because the whole plan with Titch was I was going to do the loop component where Titch would have been my only scoring player on my bench. If it was a 90, I could have just, right now he would have automatically come on in any line. Even if Horn Francis was playing this week, hypothetically, I just wouldn't have picked up like a giant miss. I would have left out as a 0, and Titch would have come on the field. Not going to be good enough. There's not enough midfielders in the player pool right now that I can just comfortably go and grab someone that's going to replace here. And this is what we said in the draft. This is why I like to attack that deep midfield. So this week I've moved Flanders and James Jordan actually into my midfield to cover for that shortfall that I've had with basically everything. And I've gone and targeted players like Toddy Marshall, against Richmond. Logan McDonald, who I thought was really, really good last week against Essendon. And, Essendon's backs aren't that bad, but I think, if Logan can get up and have a good game, they'll be good. And Jai miss against North Melbourne. So, it's just simply moving players up the ground. Haynes went out, Impey came in. And, looking at that, Jeremy Howe was disappointing last night. The wind hanger finally paid off, and I think this is going to be, I've got him in both keeper leagues, and one that I really, really like. Don't pay overs for it. Sell high, buy low, essentially. If you've got him and you've got someone coming and knocking on the door for him, it's one that you can use the currency of that game, or the game last night, I should say, for me, to simply cash in on. Titch is a worry. It's a worry here. It's a worry, I drafted him at probably a very poor spot. I thought we'd get, better out of him early season, but that is what it is. We check out game day. So right now, I'm going to have that Titch score come on because I don't want to drop Tanner Bruin. I don't want to drop Guthrie, and I don't want to drop Witherden. In hindsight, if I knew Horn, Francis, and Witherden were going to come out of this team, I would have probably moved Winghanger into the mids earlier and then gone with that. But, unfortunately these things happen. Tanner Bruin, you heard earlier in the week that we had those doubtful tags, but yeah, that's what happens. Game day, I think I'm coming up against a really full-strength Perko here. There's a lot of teams that have a lot of problems, and he's absolutely full-strength. Tim English is going to fucking dominate. He's got a pretty good team. The Mason Wood factor won't bother him too much, especially with Titch coming on and house scoring what he did. So I'd actually still back him in to beat me from here. He did have a pretty solid team. That bottom end talent wasn't ideal, but I think that I've got a little bit of problems this week. Port looking fairly strong. The Horn Francis out, the Witherden out. They're not huge names, but they're pretty handy. Where he's probably McCluggage and Wilmot. So, just the players sitting was the big problem for me this week. But we'll go through it. I'm backing myself. I'm backing Perko. I think he'll get up, which isn't a problem. But still wanted to make sure that I had a competitive team that was gonna, go through and be able to do it all. Just to steal your girl with a kind of sloppy start. But look at this. This is carnage all over the world. What's he done? He hasn't even set his team. This could be bad. Too many players. Hopper's out. Needs to get active here, Mitchie. So right now I'm going to go Jack for the win there. All we do is win and rest dog. Paddy Lap. Boy Machida started well. Again, set your team. You don't want that to be locked out. It doesn't really make a difference. You'll have the 0 anyway. I wouldn't be holding Clark in any leagues. There's no point holding players like that. Zeros are just, they're not worth holding on this kind of season format for players that aren't going to come back in and be top end talent. If that's Chera out and Love Clark, sure, hold it. And there becomes a time. Steele's been useless. Dacos, jeez, this is a bad start for such a good team. Or imagine if Dave could get his early scalp. Someone will get on. What's the bench situation look like? TA, couple of come in. Ruck problems. Tell you what, let's go. Let's go Phoenix. Get it up. Pendlebury and Darcy Moore. This is a little bit more of a competitive game. Again, the full bench. Carlton are a very good draft team. Oh, that hurts, doesn't it, Jack McRae? God, that'll be back. Sure, I'm backing Millsy in that one. And then Ding Dong Dangy Danger, great pick in Riccardi, great find. When I actually did go and have a look at the waivers, it was one that I had a look who picked up what early, and he got in the day before me. I left this show probably a little bit too late this week, a little bit busy, and then missing out, which is carnage play by me. But that Riccardi pick up really good. That would have been, I would have had Riccardi ahead of the miss. I think that's where it would have been at. This should be a cracking game. Ding Dong Freo. I actually don't mind North in that game. I think they'll go alright. I'm going to back Ding Dong. Oh, yeah, Guthrie could get off. Cameron could get off the absolute leash. But I'm going to back Danger in this game. For that, I think I've spoken about a lot of what I wanted to. Like I said, during these bye rounds, don't forget to really utilise this strategy that I've got up on the screen. When I was going through teams, I wasn't cutting off too much. I should have moved back, eh? Were they popping up to the right? When I was going teams, yeah, they were too. Bloody hell. Sorry about that, ladies and gentlemen. you kind of got a gist. I did scroll, so you got a gist of what we're doing. We'll go to draft because I will talk about my classic team before we finish it off as well. But yeah, utilize this strategy during the bye rounds. This one player on the bench strategy, just to have a free look every week. It's 110% worth it. Yeah, no captains on. I'll quickly show you the other draft league that I got going on. Bit of a stronger team, 12-man keeper. I thought it was more, but it's only 12, so 10-man league though, so we were able to get through. Hopefully Fishbot bounces back. Double-edged sword here because I've trained him in Classic as a disclaimer. I had Witsy out too, so just flip that around. There'll be 2 weeks for Wits. Probably not the worst rest. You can definitely use them. And like in this one, I had wing hanger in the midfield. That ability here with McCluggage. I can't really play that strategy on this week because I don't want to lose Will Day. I think he'll go straight back in the mid at the Hawks and become a potential couple of year keeper. Not fucking off Sammy Walsh. McCluggage has been really, really good, and Big Witsy. So this is something that next week I will really have a look at. I picked up Riley Bonner this week off the waivers in here. Disappointing, and that'll go next week, and that'll just become something else. And like I said, we'll have a look at that play again. Sant Flanders, Sexton. 1 in, 1 out. No Walshy though, so I might end up running short again. But there are a couple of players that definitely need to be held. Jump across and have just a quick talk about the Classic. Did have the VC on Dakes last night. Disappointing. That's okay. I am going to captain English now. So during the whole week I was green against the almighty West Coast Eagles. But I think Tim English rucking against Moyle I think has come in for Witsy. It could be an absolute bloodbath for him down at Mars Stadium. The only concern that I have is Big Darcy's come in, but Lob come out, so I think it'll be a lot like it was last week. But if that game end up being any kind of near a blowout, does English go sit up forward? Who knows? They're speaking about it this year. One thing that I will touch on again is the loopholes, ladies and gentlemen. There's a part of me that wants to go Clark tonight as the emergency and have a look at it. So lines on field, Clark, but I think I'm going to stick with the Windsor-Sanders combination. I just like, although I was a 13, I do like the amount of CBAs that were attended, but I will stick with Windsor and Sanders. So essentially, emergency on Windsor, if he scores a 65 plus, I'll just leave it as it is. So he'll come on as the emergency score. If not, say it's a 50 and I don't want to take it, or if it's a score I've got to take later in the week, I will know Saturday night because the Doggies play on Sunday. It's just a quick sub and Sanders straight back on field, and then that ignores that Windsor score. But if it goes the other way, that's the way to do it. Keep Windsor there. I did go the emergency on Wilson to have a look. Somehow if it was 100 score of 100 plus, maybe even more. Might have had a look at Grundy, resting Grundy, but we're not in that case here. So yeah, it's the only line that can really be done. My trades this week. Can I not undo trades now? Undo changes. Here we go. Yeah, so this is what we were looking at this week. And I am going to stick with this. Best 18. I've gone with a real aggressive tactic, and I probably didn't need to do this. Or did I? 20k? No, I did. I did need to do this so I could get Heaney. I would have done it regardless. I want to go that, balls to the wall, heavy approach on best 18, try and get some early league wins here, and bring in Marty Hall. Especially after the day cost score of 54. If Hall goes above that, any way to try and knock those kind of lower scores out, I will do. So it's Hall to Gibkiss. A lot of people are going to go have that look, but I think they're going to end up with Marty Hall next week anyway. I do like that role. Harms to Billings, easiest trade all week. And Zach Fisher to Heaney. I'm still super, super skeptical about that trade. I'm still super worried. But it's one of those things that what's going to piss me off more if I don't go get Heaney, and like the whole season I've got to watch that, that Heaney train just absolutely dominate through the midfield and what could have been, and he's at 600 and something K and it's out of reach, or, the Zach Fisher kind of steps back into gear and matches Heaney. This week I'm not overly worried because I think Zach Fisher is going to have a very, very good game. I would love it if it was the other way around and it was, I got him in a draft league as well, but if it was sub 70 again would be pretty handy. So it is balls to the wall. It is trying to maximize that best 18 score. I do have a full lineup with a loop in the middle, which I'm pretty happy with right now. Haven't really thought too much about next week. We'll deal with it as it comes. If you've still got your VC in play and you don't have Team English, the ones I like, I love Jordan Dawson. That game kicks off in 40 minutes, so I doubt anyone's going to watch this before then. I think Grundy could have an absolute field day against Essendon as well. To be safe, the safest one would be Bontempelli. If you can. You can if you still have the VC in play. And then running everything into Tom Green. So if I still had my VC, it would definitely be English into Green. There is a chance that maybe Green might become my captain depending on how I'm sitting Saturday night, because I know a lot of other teams will have that as their captain as well. But for now, I think I'm going to back in English to absolutely dominate Gold Coast. That'll do it, I think. Just a little bit of everything. I'm so sorry that it's so late in the week, especially for my draft peeps and where they're at. But that's just a bit of an overview and some of my thoughts early. So on behalf of myself and the Patreons at patreon.com/SC Elites, peace out and thank you for watching.